with a magazine, we always do the cover as a separate document from the interior. The interior is set up with facing pages for a bound document, and the cover is actually a single sheet that is, of course, wrapping that bound of pages. So we're just going to go through the cover setup. I have one done here, and we saw this in one of our Photoshop tutorials as well. But what we have in the pages panel is 2 pages, so we're not doing 4 pages, as in front cover, back cover, inside front, and inside back. We're actually doing just 2 pages in the InDesign document that reflect 2 sides of one sheet. So we're going to set that up, and we can see here we have, like normal, the bleed guide, the page trim, we have a 1/2 inch margin, and then brought into the middle of the page is a guide that's at center page, and that's indicating where our fold would be. I just have that on the first page for now, but in our new document setup, we'll make sure that's on both pages. So I'm going to do this from scratch again, just so you can see how that's done and you have it in a specific tutorial. So we'll go to File, New, or Command N, and we'll set our units to inches. And our cover document, because it's a single sheet, that's going to be twice the size of a single page, of course, that would be done in the interior. So we'll do 16.75 inches wide, and the height will still be 10.875. And this time we're going to make sure our orientation is set to landscape. We're going to turn off our facing pages because this is not part of the bound document, and we're going to set it to 2 pages. So that's going to be reflective. We can see it happening in the pages panel, and mine is showing up now because I have preview selected. So it's just showing what's going to happen when we select create. So 16.75, 10.875, landscape orientation, 2 pages, and we can leave everything else the same down to the margins. We'll go back to the default of 0.5, and we can link those. And that's basically just to maintain our safety away from the edge with any content, any typewritten content. But covers are a little different, so you can, of course, you have that flexibility. It's not a confining margin, but it's good practice to set that to that default of a 1/2 inch. And then we'll maintain the same bleed of 1/8, 0.125 inches. Don't worry about the slug. So that's it. That's setting up our cover document. We'll say create. And then, of course, we want to get that guide to the center. So I'm just going to zoom out here. And earlier on the one I showed, the guide was actually on the page. But in this case, I'm going to put the guide on both the page and the pasteboard. This background is called the pasteboard. We want to make sure our rulers are on. So if yours aren't, you can do Command R, and it will show the rulers. And I'll click on the ruler and just drag that guide out, and we'll see it will kind of snap to center there. And then what I did there, I dragged it onto the page, so that's confining that guide to the page. I'm going to undo that, and then I'm going to do it on the pasteboard. So I'm dragging on the actual pasteboard, and that's what's going to make sure that it's confined to the pasteboard. So I'm just trying to get it at center here. And I remember the last time I did this, I thought I was at center. So I'm not going to guess. I'm not even going to trust the snap. So what I'll do is just draw a box from the page edge or the bleed, page edge to page edge or bleed to bleed, and that's going to give me a true indication of center, and then I can just drag that guide and I know I'm at center. I know that that's strictly the center. So I'll do that again on the pasteboard, and then I can delete that box, and on the next page down I can drag that guide again to essentially line up with that one that's already there. So that guide is, of course, indicating our folds. Another thing that's handy, first I'm just going to lock these guides, but another thing that is handy when you're working on a cover is to just label for yourself which page is which part of the cover. And you know, eventually you get used to this and you just know, but when you're new to it, it can be pretty common to just start working on the left side of the page, thinking we work left to right. But the cover itself, the front cover, is actually on the right. So I'm going to make a little label here and just put front cover, and I'll make that large and I'll color it white since it's sitting on the pasteboard there. And then I'll copy it over, back cover. I'll copy these down. I'm just using my Option, Command, Shift, and drag. And then I'll do, in this case, we've got inside front and inside back. And I advise doing this just as a reminder that this space here is where you're putting your front cover. On the back, you may have an ad, you may even do an image that stretches the entire span of the cover, so a wrapping image. Whatever the case may be, you always want to remember that it's on the right of this page that your front cover is going to reside.